planning it out. You've got your big movie idea ready to go. Now it's time to start writing, right? Well, you could, but many screenwriters, newbies and veterans alike, sometimes find it hard to keep their train of thought going, since, after all, you'll be writing for weeks, months, or even a year or more, and not get lost in the process. Personally, one of my biggest fears in life is being lost with direction of where to go. Because of this, I rely heavily on my GPS and Google Maps. Before those existed, I had maps and directions to and from everywhere in my car. Maps are just as important in screenwriting as they are in driving somewhere I've never been. When it comes to screenwriting, there are a few ways to create your story roadmaps. Choose the one that works best for you. Index cards. The typical use for index cards is to keep your ideas straight when you have to do things like give a speech or presentation. When it comes to screenwriting, you can use them to keep your story straight. And the best part about index cards, they're very easy to move around. If you were to start writing your screenplay and then later on decide that it might work better if you rearrange the scenes a little bit, it would be a lengthy process of finding the scenes you want to move and start copying and pasting things around and hope you don't accidentally delete or move something you didn't mean to. You'll also likely have to rewrite bits of other scenes to make everything flow as if it was written that way to begin with. By creating index cards before you ever start writing, you can move, remove, or swap out scenes on a whim to get your story to work just the way you want it and avoid the hassle and time consumption it would take to do inside script. You can buy a stack of index cards for pretty cheaply anywhere office supplies are sold. You can use these index cards to write just short descriptions of scenes you have in your mind. Just who is in the scene and what the main thing to happen in the scene is. You can even break each scene down into beats, story moments, if you feel like you'll need the extra detail. Once you've got the index cards written up, you can then start arranging and rearranging them until you've created the story in a cohesive way that works best and flows well from scene to scene. You can do this digitally too. Celtx, which is free screenwriting software that I'll be talking about a lot, has an index card tool that's helpful for this. You can create the index cards with a heading and detail, and then even indicate if it's the A plot, your main storyline, or a B plot, secondary story, or C plot, etc. Even more useful is that these become color-coded, and they can link to your scenes in the script itself in such a manner that even when you're done writing the script, if you think a scene would work better somewhere else, you can just rearrange the index cards and it will automatically rearrange the scenes in the script for you as well. See how the cards themselves are color-coded? White borders for A plot, gray for B plot, and baby blue for C plot. Notice that the scene headings on the left are also color-coded to match. But let's say I wanted the Debbie move scene to happen between the two Gary scenes. All I did was move the index card and poof, the entire scene in the script moved where I wanted it to go as well. Pretty handy, huh? You can also do your index card setup online, although it won't be connected to your script and will be more like using real cards. Amazon Studios has recently put out a free-to-use online product called Amazon Story Builder. Yes, that's a clickable link. You're welcome. You can use this product to create virtual index cards and move them around on a virtual corkboard to create your story. It will hold up to 1,000 cards for you, so no fear of running out. Here's how it looks using the same index card I had in Celtx. Pretty snazzy, right? And again, you can just move things around if you don't like the order they're in. You can add cards or groups and rearrange everything at will. Then, when you're ready to write, everything is there and ready to go. Outline. Did you ever have to do a story skeleton in school growing up, where you basically list the various plot points? Same thing we're going to do here. You can just list the beats that will make up your script. For instance, Joe meets Sally. Joe tells Greg about Sally. Sally is also seeing Greg, but Greg and Joe don't realize it's the same girl. Joe goes for a date with Sally. Greg is there. Joe and Greg fight. Sally watches. Joe and Greg decide their friendship is stronger and both dump Sally. Sally apologizes, says she's changed. Joe and Sally get married. Okay, not the best, but you get the idea. Another good tool for outlining is to do character webbing. This may also be something you did in elementary school. The first version of a character web is to have a specific character in the middle of the web and then have attributes about him or her attached on the outsides. These attributes can be physical or be about their personality. They can even include events that happened in their life prior to the story, which makes up what kind of person they are, or even what they will do in the story you're writing. Frank, scared of dogs, husband to Greta, almost drowned 2 years prior, making him overly cautious, works for a jerk of a boss, short and fat. Another type of web is a character interaction web. This is more like a family tree of sorts in that we see how the characters are linked to one another. Using the events outline and the character webs can help you see exactly how your story is going to turn out and how the characters involved will help mold and shape the story. Synopsis. A synopsis is a 1 to 2 page book report of the script written in full paragraphs, unlike outlines. You'll tell what the main plot points are as well as a little bit about the characters, but the shortness of the document means you're not going to go into any great detail and there won't be any dialogue. Some writers use a synopsis before they start writing to get their ideas on paper in a slightly more structured format than the outline methods previously mentioned. Usually, though, a synopsis will be used as a method of marketing your screenplay once it's written and ready to go out into the world. Will you write your synopsis before you start or after you finish? The choice is yours. Treatment. A treatment is also sometimes used as a marketing device, but more often than not, is written before the script as a tool to really focus your story and character ideas. A treatment can be 2 to 10 pages, depending on how detailed you want to get with it, but is usually 3 to 5 pages. It is a more detailed book report of the script before the script is written. Unlike a synopsis, it will often have dialogue included, but only vital dialogue or very cool dialogue that you know you'll want to include in the script. Treatments, like synopsises, are written in full paragraphs. This is your chance to really hash out the full story of your script before you write the script, so you know exactly where it's going. In my personal opinion, a treatment is the most powerful roadmap you have in preparation for screenwriting. Review. Do you have to do any of these pre-planning steps before you start writing? No. There are no rules on the writing process. Do what works best for you. I know writers who feel bogged down by planning their script out ahead of time and will just jump right into the script. I've been able to just start writing on a few occasions, but generally I like to pre-plan so that 1, I don't get lost mid-script, and 2, I can write the rough draft much faster, already knowing what I'm going to write. So take my advice on planning ahead or leave it. It's whatever works best for you. Every writer is different. But in case you do want to plan ahead, here's a quick review of your options. Index cards. These can be real card or virtual ones. They're a great tool for visualizing the aspects of your story as well as easily rearrange the events. Outline. Whether you write a story skeleton or create character webs, this is a great way to build your story from the ground up and get to know whom you're writing about. Synopsis. This can be done before you start or after you finish and is a useful tool for planning your script as well as marketing it later. Treatment. If the other methods were maps, this is a GPS. Figuring out not just the order of events, but also actual details of the story ahead of time will make your rough draft a breeze. Now that you have your story planned out and you have a good grasp on the personalities of the characters you're going to use, it's time to start writing, right? not so fast. Just like with any job, there are certain rules and guidelines you need to know. There are do's and don'ts of screenwriting. After all, you need your script to look like a script, so you don't get flagged as someone who doesn't know what they're doing, right? Have no fear. Those rules are exactly what the next chapter is all about.